Well, hello everybody, this is Jasmine Gonzalez. Today is Friday, and usually I'm free on Fridays, but today I'm decided to pick up extra hours today. So, yeah, I'm going to be on my way to work. Um, it's a nice day outside today. Very sunny, very bright, 66 degrees, which is different for a change from the weather that we've been experiencing lately. So, yeah. So I'm going to go and work for a few hours before heading back home. Tomorrow, Immortal Championship Wrestling in Schenectady, local show. I'm super excited about that. Mostly because last week I couldn't go. Sunday, I couldn't. This past Sunday, I couldn't go to Big Time Wrestling because I was just finishing my last day of recovery from COVID, and I had a few things to do. Yeah. So I decided to pick extra hours for money because 420 Live has gotten expensive, honestly. And I need money. And for my mental health, I decided to work less hours on overall during the week. I need the money, and as such, I'm going to work right now. So yeah, and I was talking to my counselor, and I know that yesterday I talked about a little bit about how I don't want to be stuck in working more than I need to. Oh yeah, candy bar zero, one of my favorite candy bars. My dad used to get it at Walmart with me, and definitely I like it. My dad was the one that introduced me when we were in Puerto Rico. We found at the Walmart, and my dad was like, "I let's try this," and favorite candy bar ever since that was around 19 early 90s. So yeah, and it's funny. I work at Walmart and then purchase this at Walmart. Yeah. Like I said, any money, and one of the things that I was talking today with my counselor was something that I was talking today in one of my video vlogs, that I don't want to be working my whole life, and I think I've just been traumatized personally of seeing how the culture of like overworking yourself works. My dad used to work many hours. Like when I was younger, he was in charge of like fermentation lots in a manufacturing plant that he used to work. The manufacturing plant was called Objon. They did fermentation process in Puerto Rico, and eventually Pfizer bought Objon became Pharmacia, and then Pharmacia was bought by Pfizer. One of the ingredients that they used to make was Motrin, which is Pharmacia used to make Motrin, which is ibuprofen pretty much. And but they used to do fermentations in Puerto Rico, fermentation lots. And my dad was in charge of taking care of the lots. And you have bacteria growing pretty much, and as such, like fermentation process is one of those processes that you have to keep an eye on it. And right now we have computers, but back in the day, there was manual data. So my dad will have to keep a record of that and would have to tell the operator what they needed to do, if anything, So so pretty much my dad had to take phone calls over weekends. Even at church, like if we were in church, he would be contacted. He had to stop what I was doing and go and call the company, and it was intense. We'd be hanging out with my grandfather, and out of a sudden, we'll have to make a phone call to the plant, and so it was tricky. Weekends were tricky with my dad, and one time my dad decided that he was going to retire at 55, and he said it. I was like, "Oh wow, you're going to retire quite young," and I didn't believe him, honestly. But come 2005, I had just moved up here to Troy, New York, to go to RPI, and I was pursuing at the time a PhD. Uh, Contacted my dad, and my dad's like, "Oh, I just retired. I'm really happy retired." I'm like, I didn't believe my dad, and my dad retired at 55. He got tired of working too much in the company, and he just said he was spent, and I can understand why, because of the overworking. Sometimes jobs, they overwork you, and it's how much you can manage. And my mom, she was a teacher, but she couldn't take it anymore with the stress of the students and all that kind of stuff. She retired, like, back down completely from working around when she was around mid-40s, I would say. Yeah. And then my dad, my grandfather, he was retired because he used to work for Puerto Rico for the government. So he retired, I think, around 55 or something like that. And then he ended up passing away at 65. He was already retired at the time. A few years already into retirement. So, yeah, my grandfather died at 65, and I think that's the biggest thing for me. And even though I don't agree with certain things that my grandfather did, because my grandfather was a womanizer, he was a nice person. He tried to be a nice person with us. Me and my sister were his only blood grandchildren, so he was very nice to us, and he did care about my mom and about us too. And fortunately, he passed at 65 from a heart attack. He used to smoke. I was smoking at the time, and I just, once I heard he passed away, I stopped smoking. One of the best decisions that I did was to stop smoking. Seriously, if you smoke, quit if you can, honestly. Bad for you. And so, yeah, my grandfather passed out at 65, and he passed out, and it came out so suddenly, and that's the one thing that I remember, because the weekend before he died, I was talking with him over the phone, and then that week on Friday I found out that he had died of a heart attack. And seriously, like, that's why I'm kind of like, I guess I'm traumatized, and that's why I put my health over work, because of that experience, because I know that health is one of the most important things that a human being can have. And our society, our way of doing business, sometimes doesn't allow for us to take care of ourselves. We have to be going, working odd hours, odd shifts, eating out instead of cooking at home, where we can control what we eat. We have to be working and eating garbage. Even that candy bar that I'm about to eat, I shouldn't be eating that. It's like, this is a candy bar. It's useless calories. Don't do any good to me. But when you eat out, it's like you're eating probably food that is not good for you. Processed foods, mostly. Too many calories that you may not need. So, all in all, I feel like our society, like, and because we have to be at work, it's like stress that we also having to deal with. And unfortunately, in school, we don't learn how to manage stress. When I was in high school, when I went to college, they never teach you how to manage stress. They never teach you that. My parents, they never taught me how to manage stress. It's something that I had to learn on my own. To me, how I manage stress is like going to a gym, working out. Used to be playing video games. Sometimes I play video games. It relaxes me. Art, play my saxophone. Music. Me and sounds therapeutic. Fuck, I cannot say therapeutic. Sorry. So music to me, art. I like painting sometimes. I haven't painted in a while. Playing games, Dungeons and Dragons, But sometimes, like the times that I get to do those things, playing card games, board games, I don't have enough time because I have to be at work. I have to work, and doing wrestling. Wrestling for me is therapeutic. I love wrestling. Wrestling is one of my passions. It's like theater, but I love wrestling. Training in the ring, exercise, but also I have fun doing wrestling. And yeah, when I perform in the wrestling shows, I also have fun doing the shows. The audience, it's a good rush. I just love it. And because I'm not bounded by certain boundaries that you have to bind yourself when you're working for a company, wrestling to me is like I feel liberated. I can be myself wrestling. But definitely like working too many hours, sometimes for very little money. It's not good stress. And I don't care what people say. You have to be hustling and doing things. You have to be doing things that will give you more value in the future. Like me, I should be trying to get. If I want to get back into engineering, which will generate more money, I need to do things that would help me get to that goal. I cannot be just doing things just for doing it. And unfortunately, that's one of the things that I see when it comes for me to get a better job. But also, I just don't want to overwork myself. I don't believe in overworking myself. Even now, it's like it's just depressing sometimes that I have to work extra hours just to make ends meet. It's unfair. I feel bad for low-wage workers that have to have sometimes more than one job to be able to pay their own bills to support themselves. How you deal with that? I don't know how they deal with that. I would love to hear from them. I would love to understand more what are they doing, because life cannot be all the time work, and work more, When you have time to do something relaxing, when you have time to do something to take care of yourself, There's only one life. Life is delicate, One day you're alive, the next day you can be dead. So why is it that we spend so much time in our society at work? Why we cause old people that work on low wages jobs to be overworking multiple jobs constantly so they can pay their bills? I don't think that is fair, I don't think that's good, Sacrificing their health, sacrificing their family, sacrificing their little time that they will probably have to spend with the people that they love, just so that they can make a living. I don't think it's fair at all that we do that to people, to other humans. But we do that, unfortunately. We do that. And that doesn't make any sense whatsoever. I don't care that, like, really, seriously, what is life? Even now, myself, I've been thinking about, I'm not going to deny it, even though as much as I don't like Puerto Rico, because I don't feel like Puerto Rico is safer for LGBT people like me, especially trans people, because I still have to worry about trans care. And this is the reason why I go into other states like South Carolina, Florida. I'm going to be interested in going to those states because of safety issues, safety concerns, getting therapy, getting hormones, access to healthcare. I don't want to get killed in Puerto Rico for me being who I am. But I thought about moving back to Puerto Rico because I don't get to see my parents very often. And my parents are the only family that I have. My sister with my niece and my nephew, As much as I enjoy living in New York, sometimes I want to go back to Puerto Rico. But, especially with the job that I'm doing right now, there are Walmarts in Puerto Rico. I can be working at a Walmart in Puerto Rico. What's the difference? Maybe less pay down there, which is the part that would probably suck. But I really need, like, a question: why it's so special for me to live in New York? Yeah, I get access to healthcare, I get access to hormones, but in terms of like work, it's like I could be doing the same thing in Puerto Rico, when it comes to work. But also, it's like being closer to my family, because one of these days I may get news from Puerto Rico that my parents will die, and then I'm sure I'm going to be sad because I couldn't go and visit them as often as I would like to. Because people tell me, do you go every year to Puerto Rico? And I'm like, no, I haven't gone to Puerto Rico in 8 years as of today. I haven't gone to Puerto Rico in 8 years because I haven't had enough money to be able to not only pay my living expenses, but also save money. I have student loan debt that I had to pay, which will make retiring very difficult. So I question the why of things, because honestly, life is so delicate, and not having money for the future, being concerned about things for the future, is an issue for me. Not being able to visit my parents as often as I want to, it's also affecting me too. Because I wish I could go to Puerto Rico every year. But to go to Puerto Rico, I need a good job. I need a job that provides vacation time. I need a job that provides paid time off. And some jobs, they don't even provide that at all. And some jobs don't even pay me enough either to be able to afford going to Puerto Rico. Like honestly, $12.50 an hour. I used to work for $12.50 an hour. It's very difficult to live on $12.50 an hour in New York State. And I know what New York State is doing to increase the wages higher. If they increase the wages higher, the problem is not necessarily the wages. It's also the hours that people get scheduled to work at a particular job. Because some jobs are required to have hours open, but then they only schedule for so many hours. And anything less than part-time, you are not going to be able to afford to live in New York State. If you work 20 hours, even if you get paid $50 an hour or $70 an hour, and you work part-time, you won't be able to afford living in New York State. Like seriously. Like me, for example, my apartment I pay half of the rent, which is $560, $530 for rent, and that was not including utilities and cable. So anything less than part-time in New York is not enough to pay bills. Not enough, really, seriously. Like, you can do the math, simple, 15 times 20, that give you the gross income, subtract taxes, and taxes are expensive also in New York State. So yeah, it's not enough to live, honestly. Like, it's even come close, and like, people talk about $15 an hour, but like, reality is like you're getting less than 15. And so if I cannot even barely pay making me beside the money that I was getting before, I could not even afford saving money to go visit my parents. So there's that. And that's why I say, like, I need a better job if I want to afford being able to visit my parents, or maybe move to Puerto Rico. That way I'm already in Puerto Rico, and now I can work and visit my parents if I need to visit my sister, and if I wanted to, because I know one of these days tragedy is going to strike in my family, and I know that's going to happen. And I just don't want to live with the regret of, like, oh my God, I didn't see my parents for so long. And I know I use video conference and all that kind of stuff with Messenger, with the technology that we have today. It's easier for me to talk with them, but it's not the same. It's not the same to be living with them or to talk to them or in person. It's one of those things that has been bothering me lately. Maybe it's because I'm not married, I'm single. I haven't gotten to meet a partner, Even dating is expensive, I guess. Yeah. So, that's my take on things, that there's more to life than work. And I feel sorry for people that have to work more than 40 hours just to make ends meet. Seriously. I don't know how you do it. And, but I really can't even do any more 40 hours anymore. I used to be able to, not anymore. Anyway, that's how I got. Peace, everybody. Stay safe. Bye.